Hello, a pleasant afternoon, everyone. So we will start the program in about 5 minutes. Thank you. Hello, a pleasant afternoon, everyone. So we will start the program in about 5 minutes. Thank you. Hello, a pleasant afternoon, everyone. Hello and good afternoon po sa lahat. It is a great pleasure to welcome you all to the MSME Forum Surviving and Bouncing Back. So this afternoon's activity is a part of the celebration of the 2020 National Science and Technology Week of DOST Region 6. This is Alan Daryl Ferrer Asuelo of DOST Guimaras, and I will be your moderator. So this will be a jam-packed afternoon full of inspirational stories. Hence, we cannot wait to listen to them and be inspired by them. So to formally start our program, let us first ask for some spiritual guidance through a prayer, and this will be led to us by the DOST Iloilo Provincial Science and Technology Director, Engineer Sheila L. Oberio, and this will be followed by the singing of the Philippine National Anthem.
Shall we all bow our heads and look up to God in prayer? Let's pray. In your name, O Lord Jesus Christ, we humbly come. In the midst of this difficult and uncertain times, we look upon your grace with faith in our hearts. So many things we can't control, Lord, but you are still sovereign, and we believe that you are still in control. We pray for the businesses and every entrepreneur, that for every doors that was closed, we ask for you to open the windows of opportunities for them. We pray for open heaven, O God. We ask for discernment and wisdom, that in your perfect timing, every opportunity you set before each and every entrepreneur, businessman, leader, may be able to take advantage of. For out the for out the little in our hands offered to you, you will flourish and prosper. For it is you who said in your word that you have given us the capacity to produce wealth, and we claim every blessing you have in store for each one of us, that you may be glorified. Now, Lord, as we conduct our activity this afternoon, remind us that you are faithful and you will see us through in these tough times. May the experiences of those who have overcome strengthen our resolve to never tire of doing good and to press on even more until we experience your promises. Lord, for those who are joining in this prayer right now, wherever they are, may you bless them and keep them, and may your favor be upon them and your peace you give them. All this we ask in the name of your Son, Jesus Christ, our Savior and Deliverer. Everybody will say, Amen.
In nomine Patri et Filii et Spiritus Sancti.
Mga kababayan, ang pambansang awit ng Pilipinas.
Hayang magiliw, elas ang sinakanan, alam ng
Moving on, it is a privilege to hear the opening message coming from no less than the Regional Director of DOST6, Engineer Rowan R. Helonga.
A pleasant day to everyone, particularly to our micro, small, and medium enterprises. I am glad to welcome all of you to this forum as we celebrate the 2020 Regional Science and Technology Week, or RSTW, here in Western Visayas. Our celebration this year is guided by the theme, Agham at Teknolohiya, Sandigan ng Kalusugan, Kabuhayan, Kaayusan at Kinabukasan. Our theme clearly conveys that as we address the health impact of this pandemic, we will never put into hold our efforts to strengthen the livelihood of our people and ensure that our economy moves forward. As such, we will hear from our invited guests, your fellow entrepreneurs, their insights, their thoughts, and their ideas on how we can not only bounce back, but bounce back better. COVID-19 will not be the last problem that we will be encountering. There will be more. But we can overcome these challenges as long as we use science, technology, and innovation side by side with determination, with faith, and with our desire to make the lives of Filipinos better. Welcome everyone, and I hope that we will all learn something as well as share something from this session. Thank you and good afternoon.
Micro, small.
Okay, so thank you very much, Sir Rowan, for welcoming us all and for that insightful message. So thank you also, sir, for reminding us that through science, technology, and innovation, we can overcome the challenge brought about by the pandemic or even for any challenges that could come our way. So at this time, we would like to acknowledge our DOST6 Zoom meeting account participants, as well as our viewers through YouTube Live, DOST6 Facebook page, and the DOST6 One Expert portal. So we would like to especially acknowledge all our participating MSMEs, my co-DOST personnel, and interested stakeholders, both from the private and public sectors. So again po, thank you very much for attending and spending your afternoon with us. So for 18 years, the Department of Science and Technology, or DOST, has been assisting thousands of MSMEs in increasing their production and technical capacities and capabilities through the Small Enterprise Technology Upgrading Program, or SETUP, one of the flagship programs of the department. SETUP encourages and assists MSMEs implement technological innovations in their respective industries by upgrading their product quality and market competitiveness through various trainings and seminars on technology adoption to energy utilization to good manufacturing practices. So ladies and gentlemen, let us watch the audiovisual presentation of SETUP through the years.
Small and medium enterprises, or MSMEs, are the backbone of the Philippine economy. They comprise around 99.5% of businesses in the country and account for more than 30% of the country's gross value added and contribute more than 60% to total employment. Yet, they continue to face challenges that include access to markets and finance, high production costs, access to technology and skills, low productivity, and ensuring business continuity after disasters. Hence, the Department of Science and Technology sustained the implementation of the Small Enterprise Technology Upgrading Program, or SETUP, as the department's nationwide strategic flagship program for MSMEs. SETUP helps MSMEs address operational constraints through human resource development or technical training, technical advisory and consultancy services, access to free technical advice from experts, product development, calibration and testing, access to support in the acquisition of appropriate technology and innovation or seed funding for technology acquisition and equipment upgrading. This holistic and comprehensive package of SDI assistance enables MSMEs to adopt and integrate technological innovations to improve products and services and upgrade operational processes, thus boosting productivity and competitiveness. To answer the call for more focused assistance to MSMEs, DOSD setup was first implemented in 2002. But with the DOSD's passion for continuous improvement and true to DOSD's innovative spirit, setup services were continually expanded. The DOSD developed a series of innovations to improve the delivery of DOSD services and contribute to enterprise growth. In 2012, the OneLab IT platform was launched to facilitate access of customers to comprehensive analytical and calibration services at a single touch point. Its online referral system allows for seamless handling of samples from receiving, referral, transport, analysis to prompt delivery of tests and calibration results, no matter where the customers are in the country. Customers will no longer have to shuttle from one laboratory to another to have access to the needed set of testing services. To date, the network is composed of 23 DOST, 4 government, 19 private, and 8 international laboratories. Launched in 2015, OneStore is an e-commerce platform that assists MSMEs widen market reach locally and internationally to increase business opportunities. It also provides customers with an effortless shopping experience and retailers with a simple and direct access to a large customer base in the Philippines. OneStore is implemented in partnership with Land Bank of the Philippines, PayMaya, DragonPay, Multisys, Black Arrow Express, To Go Express, J&T Express, A21, Dynamic Household Solutions or DOS1, Shopinas, and Filipino Invento Society Producers Cooperative or FISPC. Also in 2015, the One Expert web application was developed to improve access of people, particularly those living outside the major urban centers, to experts and technologies. It likewise brings the services of any accredited expert located anywhere in the Philippines to clients that need S&T assistance. In 2016, the mobile version of the application was launched. In 2018, DOSD started deploying OneStore vending machines. Not content to rest on these laurels, the DOSD partnered with the Development Academy of the Philippines for an in-depth impact assessment of setup program implementation from 2002 to 2017. The study validated the process and product improvement and productivity and profitability gains realized by DOSD setup partners. Moreover, The study showed that setup is responsive and relevant to the national directives, resulting in improved socio-economic conditions of MSMEs beneficiaries. Building on the gains and accomplishments of the previous setup implementation, and incorporating the strategic recommendations of the DAP study, Setup 2.0 was launched in 2018. Setup 2.0 provides interventions in the industry or sector level, as well as addresses firm-level S&T constraints, thus boosting productivity and efficiency of the whole sector. It sets the framework for the different interventions provided to individual MSMEs and industry, not only by the DOST regional offices, but also by other DOST agencies. The crafting of a strategic roadmap for each priority sector is part of the Setup 2.0 implementation. Setup 2.0 is set to launch the ETNA, an improved automated technology needs assessment tool with technical and industry benchmarks embedded in the system and new consultancy services programs. With Setup 2.0, MSMEs are made smarter in that they are socially responsive, market-oriented, able, resilient, technology-intensive, environment-friendly, and resource-efficient to make them more competitive in the local and global markets. Further, the advent of fourth industrial revolution technologies also necessitates that MSMEs be able to adopt and assimilate Industry 4.0 technologies to further increase productivity, reach optimal operational capacity, and compete locally and globally. With these, the MIRDC's Advanced Mechatronics, Robotics, and Industrial Automation Laboratory, or AMIRIAL project, is introduced and integrated into selected setup adapters to facilitate migration to automation, mechatronics, and robotics technologies. DOST2 launched in June of this year the One Store City Android app to make the e-commerce platform more accessible to consumers at the countryside, thus increasing the market reach of local MSMEs. Setup has since invested 5.6 billion, benefiting 78,936 firms and other S&T entities, and facilitating 87,295 technology interventions. Through the years, there's been an increase in setup investments and in the number of MSMEs seeking setup assistance, which resulted to significant economic growth for MSMEs and the areas where these are located. Further, it's heartening to see that through the program, a number of setup beneficiaries have upgraded their status from micro to small, micro to medium, small to medium, and medium to large. The program has likewise generated 279,167 employment. These program outcomes and impacts were all validated with the DAP study, where they saw a 10% average annual growth rate on profits to sales ratio and a 9.5 average annual growth rate on labor productivity. Further, beneficiaries attested to how setup has greatly improved the quality of their products, improved their efficiencies, and their quality of life. The study also showed that the impact of the program has contributed to industry and regional development, with the creation of employment opportunities, expanded networks and markets, and improvement of level of standards in respective industries. With all these accomplishments, we hunger to provide more. With the fast-changing needs, volatile and complex local and global environments, particularly with the pandemic and the fourth industrial revolution. What's next for us?
Okay, so before we proceed, just a few reminders for our participants. So if you have any questions for our speakers later, please do type them in the chat box po, and this will be answered during the open forum session. So also, may I request everyone to please change your name into the following format: institution plus first name plus last name. So for example, DOST 6-1 de la Cruz. Okay, so I think we are all set to be motivated and be inspired by the different stories of our speakers. So our first speaker is the current managing director of the long-established company located in Bacolod City, Negros Occidental, which is into the production of agri-machineries. So one of the notable accomplishments of their company is the development of a shredder machine that was seen to revolutionize the agriculture industry in the country. So our speaker received numerous award citations. So just to name a few, he was a recipient of the Alfredo M. Yao Intellectual Property Innovation Award and was also awarded as the Outstanding Utility Model category for his entry during the 2010 Visayas Island Invention Contest and Exhibits of DOST. Recently, his company won as the regional winner for the Setup Praise Award, which acknowledges MSMEs that show productivity, resilience, agility, innovation, sustainability, and excellence that led to expanding their market reach in the midst of the challenges brought about by COVID-19. So, ladies and gentlemen, our first invited speaker is an inventor, an innovator, and of course, a businessman. So let us all hear the story of Mr. Ramon C. Uy Sr., the Managing Director of RU Foundry and Machine Shop Corporation.
I am Ramon Uy of RU Foundry and Machine Shop Corporation, manufacturer of RU shredders and other related agricultural and industrial equipment. I was requested by DOST Region 6 Director Ruben Hilonga to share with you how do we cope and survive this pandemic amidst us today. Modesty aside, we were quite prepared because of our previous experience and lessons we learned when we got bankrupt after the Asian crisis in 1997. Allow me to share with you what happened then, more than 20 years ago. In 1974, we started a buy and sell business with a capital of only 3,000 and make it into a multi-million business in the 1990s. We had a commercial building, a huge shop, a house and lot, and a condominium. In 1995, during the time of President Ramos, business was good. Government gave us a lot of incentives, like 6 years tax holiday, in preparation for the WTO. Banks were lenient in lending. We were enticed to expand and modernize our equipment and facilities. We availed of a huge loan. In 1997, Asian crisis hit the whole Asia. Interest rates soared to more than 40%. We were paying then more than 1 million a month on interest alone. During that time, I am a daily mass goer. I attend mass every day. During that time, I will pray, Lord, please take my shop and allow me to keep the building and house. Next day, I will pray again, Lord, take away the building, leave me the house and the shop. Next day again, different prayer. Lord, just take away the building and the shop. Just leave the house because my children are still small. Maybe the Lord got confused what I really want. So He took everything, the house, the building, the shop, and all my properties. I was even negative 5 million. I was 54 years old then, quite old. But I did not dwell in self-pity. I was resolute and determined that with God's grace, I could still recover. From a 1,000 square meter house, I transferred to an 80 square meter house. But I'm an optimist. I always look at things from a positive point of view, despite my situation. In the 1,000 square meter house, our children and me seldom see each other. But in an 80 square meter how could we miss each other? One day, a friend of mine called me that he had a problem with the equipment he bought from Manila. So I went to his farm and I said, I will not repair your equipment, but I will make you a better one. So I did, and it took me several months to finish the shredder equipment until finally it runs well according to his needs. So I gifted it to him despite my financial problems. I had it patented in 2000 and started promoting it. In 2001, President Gloria Rose signed into law RA 9003, Solid Waste Management Law, after the Payatas incident wherein more than 300 children died in the avalanche of garbage. We were invited to demonstrate our shredder in Metro Manila by the Metro Manila Development Authority. We were 6 suppliers, but after 6 months, our shredder was the only one running efficiently. So MMDA bought 20 units worth 7 million. Other local governments bought several shredders for their waste management needs in compliance with the RA 9003. We also introduced the vermicomposting technology, the production of organic fertilizer through the action of worms, using farm waste as materials. We believe this technology will revolutionize the agriculture industry, and the Department of Agriculture embrace and implement our technology. We were on the road to recovery, and as the saying goes, the Lord closes one door but opens another door of opportunity. I was invited by one of the banks that foreclosed my house to be their inspirational speaker in their annual luncheon for big clients here in Negros. After the invitation, I told the manager that I was one of their clients whom they foreclosed. So she got upset and called Manila office if they would cancel my talk. But I told them they have nothing to worry. I will not talk anything negative about them. But maybe to be sure, their vice president flew in early morning and had breakfast with me. I told him nothing to worry. During luncheon, when I spoke, I said, and I quote, "Life is full of ironies. Isn't it ironic that the bank who invited me to be your inspirational speaker is the same bank who foreclosed my house 8 years ago?" Then I paused. Silence. You could hear a pin drop. Then I said, but the agreement was mutually beneficial. The bank got my house, but I got my life back. Then I proceeded to finish my speech. Ironic it is. As the saying goes, do not step on the people on your way up, because they will be the same people you will meet on your way down. In order for us to be prepared and resilient, every year we allocated a substantial amount in our research and development. And we have to diversify. So today we have made several equipment, like the plastic shredder, the corticating machine for cocoa husk, small-scale Mascobado mill, community-based, oil distiller, chopper, chipper, composting facilities, waste management equipment. This will make us more sustainable. Recently, we developed the following equipment. Together with DOST, MRDC, and Supercast, a 12-horsepower diesel engine, the first in the Philippines. And also, in collaboration with Clever Tractors USA, we're given the licensee to manufacture a 22-horsepower gasoline engine hydraulic drive tractor. All the above trials and successes will not be a reality without the assistance of our Director Ruben Hilonga of DOST and Engineer Robert Dison of MIRDC. DOST Region 6 had been our partner in most of my activity and recovery, since I was the beneficiary of their setup program. Jointly together with CPSU, Central Philippine State University, we will assist farmers set up their own welding and fabrication shop in Negros Occidental. With this, rural industrialization will become a reality. The person behind all of these successes is no other than my wife, May, whose unflinching support made all this possible and a reality.
Okay, so thank you very much, Sir Ramon Uy, for sharing your story. So indeed, on unwanted events such as the pandemic, it is really important that we learn and we use these learnings to prepare ourselves so that we are ready in case something similar happens again. And also, of course, prayer truly is such a powerful tool. So moving on, our second speaker is Mr. John Dave Dueñas, hailing from Bacolod City, Negros Occidental. So in 2016, JD, as he is fondly called, saw the requirement of information communications technology in the healthcare industry and the platform that the labor market requires for homegrown talents to be put into use. So seeing the big gap of the healthcare industry in terms of an available fully integrated management information system and available manpower pool, JD founded HighBrain in September 2016 and provided local employment to highly skilled software developers in Bacolod City. So in times of the COVID-19 pandemic, HighBrain doubled its effort to both survive the challenging business environment and be of help to the community. So one of the biggest Filipino conglomerates, San Miguel Corporation, has commissioned the team to roll out the laboratory information system to manage the COVID-19 testing of its 50,000 employees. So JD continues to envision a local team in addressing a global demand in healthcare information technology and high brain being in the center of this noble innovation movement that will alleviate the healthcare industry. So, ladies and gentlemen, to tell us more about his story and accomplishments, let us all welcome Mr. John Dave P. Dueñas, the Chief Executive Officer of High Brain Development Corporation.
Thank you for such a wonderful introduction. And as early as now, I would want to thank the Department of Science and Technology, Region 6, for inviting me to be with you guys. The perfect thing that I think I'd have to start my way of sharing the experience of High Brain is the fact that in the midst of the pandemic, nobody could even think that a startup would be able to thrive, flourish, or even become successful because everything was put on hold. What we have really admired in our realm is that we were smack in the middle of having digital transformation because of the new normal, and we were servicing an industry that has been asking for the attention that they long deserve. So we were more focused on healthcare information technology, and what better way than to really serve the healthcare industry at this time. When the entire country was put into a community quarantine on the 15th of March, I would not forget that because that was my birthday. We all were thinking like, what happens next? How long would it take? Will we be able to survive this? Knowing that we were supposed to deploy one project or with one hospital, that means we would not be able to go to the premises of our client. But then instead, we have to do everything online. So we had to do knowledge transfer to our end users, not basically the way how we were doing it in the past, but redesigning our approach on things. Prior to that though, we were able to at least establish a very strong notion of advancing our equipment, meaning we have to make sure that our laptops are at par, we have the same number of laptops corresponding to the number of our team members. We were able to get to use our own internal server. That means we could, put in all of our files there and share anything. And aside from that kind of advancement, we were able to also establish our business continuity plan in place. What I really admired is that even before acquiring those equipments, it would entail us cost. And the best part is that DOST was able to give us the setup fund. So we were able to upgrade all of our equipments, make sure that our network in the office is going to be at par with, advancing technology while we were developing and creating some new products. At the latter part of April 2020, we were like a month and 2 weeks from from being declared under community quarantine or enhanced community quarantine. We received an inquiry from San Miguel Foundation. We were even thinking like, how would we be able to serve them? We're in Bacolod, and San Miguel is San Miguel, and they're based in Manila. So we were able to get a glimpse of how they work. We had an initial talk with them. We kind of scoped what they were requiring, and it was perfect because one functionality of our hospital information system is actually focused on laboratory information system, or the things that, or a system that would be able to help out laboratories on how it is going to be managed. So that was April, and then May, June, July. On the 4th of July, no, it was not the American Independence Day celebration. The 4th of July, it was inaugurated with the National Interagency Task Force and the Department of Health. They inaugurated the first COVID-19 testing center in the Philippines that is automated. And that is the San Miguel Molecular Lab, which is a Better World Ortigas. And the system that was being used by San Miguel Foundation up to this time is a system that is developed by people from Bacolod, and that is our system. How did it come to a point that as a big conglomerate like San Miguel Foundation was able to trust young, creative, crazy kids like Highbrain? I think it was because we were able to establish our expertise in terms of espousing information and communications technology in the healthcare industry. We would want to, of course, thank Adventist Medical Center Bacolod for that. And at the same time, it was really their subject matter expertise that were coupled with our software developers or software engineers, and we were able to come up with a product. So working with pathologists, working with medtech, we were able to come up with Metrics Labs. It is an automated laboratory information system. And during that time, it was the only laboratory system that was servicing COVID-19 testing centers. So we were able to automate the submission of reports to the Department of Health, do automation on doing the results, or the seemingly tedious process of one patient going to the laboratory, being swabbed, and then encoding those data in the system. Normally, it takes 45 minutes, and because of the use of our system, we were able to dwindle it down to only 6 minutes. Meaning, you'd have to fill out your case investigation form before going to the laboratory. So, it now lessens the human interaction between the swabbers or the medical technologists or the medical technicians and the probable COVID patient. So all of this came about because we were able to understand that the best way to survive a pandemic is not actually to go against it. It's not actually to, try to pin it down. The perfect way to survive it is actually to embrace it. When you talk about resilience, when we talk about survival, you do not just think of what should we do next, but you have to understand the situation. You have to understand how could you help, and how would you be able to look at things on a different perspective. The perfect thing about startups is that we don't look at things the way an ordinary person would look at it. We look at challenges, we look at problems, not as challenges and problems, but we look at them as opportunity. So we were able to scale up as fast as we can, that in the span of 2 months, we were able to deploy that system to San Miguel Foundation. That basically gave us a better view, of the things to come. That the healthcare industry is an industry that will never go out of business. That digital transformation, even though we have been harping on this for years, is actually the new normal. it seems like everybody's stepping on the accelerator pedal for digital transformation to be applied in every organization. So, my dear friends, when you talk about resiliency, when you talk about how to survive it, you have to first understand the pain points or the current problem. And when you look at the problem, you get to analyze it and you have to actually think about it that you could do something, that you could act on it. You should not be crippled by the thought of worry. You should not be crippled by the idea that, yeah, I might not be able to survive it. You should always couple your resiliency with, I know I could do something about it. And I would want to actually again thank the Department of Science and Technology for helping us out in preparation to become resilient. When you talk about trying times, when you talk about a crisis management, you would always have to go back to your basics. You have to always go back to your foundation. And in times of trouble or in times of, questionable situations, the perfect way to motivate yourself would always have to go back to your why. Why am I doing this? Why did I even start doing it? And that basically gives you the motivation. In hybrid, we don't just look at profitability. We don't just look at, creating name for ourselves. Our whys would always have to be centered on how can we help the healthcare industry? How can we help all those medical professionals in easing out or have a seamless process in servicing the clientele? I would want to highlight that PricewaterhouseCoopers created or developed a study in 2017 that the Philippines will be experiencing a 1.1 million deficit of hospital beds and 1.2 million deficit of medical care professionals by 2035. And that study was actually pre-COVID, pre-pandemic. And I am sure that I don't think we need to wait for 2035 to get to understand that hospital beds would really be scarce and our medical care professionals would really be having a hard time in addressing our healthcare requirements. So understanding that kind of entire scenario gave us kind of leverage in terms of what can we do next and how would we be able to help. So again, I would want to thank everybody and I would have to center this talk or my last line that if you would want to become resilient, that if you would want to bounce back, that if you would want to become successful in the midst of the pandemic or in the midst of a crisis, you have to know first two things. You have to know why, your reason of being. Why are you there in the first place? That basically gives you a laser focus on what to do next. Your second thing that you have to know is how can you help? Helping other people is actually the perfect way to deal with a crisis because you basically get to understand that a global scale of a problem like COVID-19 will not be survived by a single country or by a single person. It would always be a community. So I hope I was able to share something. Thank you and again, good afternoon.
Okay, so thank you very much, Sir JD. So, Sir, magka-birthday pala tayo. So, sabi nga ni Sir JD, we have to see things in a different perspective and look for opportunities so that we can do something about it or or we can do something to help the community. So, moving on, for our third speaker is the production manager as well as the son of the owner of La Herminia Pinya Weaving Industry. So when he was laid off from his job in the Department of Public Works and Highways in 1996, he thought of establishing the company since the Pinya weaving industry is starting to gain popularity in the province of Aklan. So our speaker studied the whole process of weaving. So with his knowledge and innovativeness, he was able to mechanize some of the processes used in weaving by fabricating and designing some of the machines. So he was also chosen as a representative of the National Museum of the Philippines to give demonstrations on weaving in countries like Germany and Argentina. So under his management, La Herminia prospered into the company it is today. So the company is a recipient of the Seal of Excellence for Handicraft Products in Southeast Asia, given by UNESCO Asian Handicraft Promotion and Development Association, and the Katha Award for Best Product Design for Fashion Accessories. So our speaker also received the Outstanding Aklanon Entrepreneur Award in 2016. So ladies and gentlemen, from the province of Aklan, our third speaker, Mr. Alan M. Tumbokon.
Si Alan Tumbokon, production manager ng La Herminia Piña Weaving Industry, as well as the owner of Senior Alfred Crafts. Ang La Herminia Piña Weaving Industry started in 1996. So mga 24 years na siya. Nag-start kami one weaver, and then after how many months nag-increase hanggat umabot kami ng mga more than 100, mga 150, 180 weavers. Nakadalawang setup na kami sa DOST, yung handloom na binigay nila, at saka ito ganun din itong second na setup, ganun din, pero parang improve na siya. And then doon sa DOST na yung natural dye, yung synthetic dye, yung multi-harness loom, DOST din kasi yan, di ba, yung PTRI attached agency naman. Pero sa ngayon, declining na yung weaving. Konti na lang ang weavers, yung knockers, konti na rin. Kaya medyo pababa ngayon ang trend ng weaving industry. Kahit siguro dito hindi lang sa company namin, siguro ganun din siguro sa ibang company, at parang ganyan din ang trend sa buong mundo na ang hand weaving ay talagang bumababa. Itong pandemic na to, itong COVID-19, siguro wala ditong company na matatag. Pagka tinamaan ka nito, talagang babagsak ka. Yung La Herminia, talagang grabe yung epekto nito. Weaving yung negosyo namin. Nitong pandemic, sinong susuot ng barong? Sinong susuot ng mga gown? Sinong magpapakasal? So, nung mag-start yung pandemic, pinaubos ko na lang yung material nila, and then stop muna ako. Siguro medyo nakapagbigay ng another material sa kanila, siguro after mga 4 months o 3 months. Pero siyempre sa awa, yung source of income nila ay sa weaving. So yung company namin nagbigay ng mga food assistance, cash assistance sa mga tauhan namin, mga weavers, mga staff namin. Pero siyempre hindi yan sapat na sa tagal na nitong pandemic na to. So kahit pa paano binigyan ko sila ng material na paunti-unti na kumbaga mayroon silang gagawin, mayroon silang kita, hindi naman masero. Basta mayroon silang pang araw-araw nilang magamit. In-educate din namin yung mga staff namin, yung mga weavers namin. Like yung mga pagsuot ng mask, paghugas ng kamay, paggamit ng alcohol. Siguro mga 2 or 3 months ng pandemic. Nag-isip ako na gumawa ng handloom. Kung paano mapabilis. Actually, meron kaming handloom na semi-mechanized, wider loom which is 60 inches width. Isa lang ang weaver na humahawak. Pero gusto ko pa ma-improve at ako'y nakabuo ng isang technology na ito'y nakatulong na mapabilis ang production kasi iniisip ko marami sa ngayon ang mga weavers ay yung iba maghanap na ng ibang trabaho. So masasabi natin na by pag-open ng market, halimbawa, baka yung mga weavers mo ay kukunti na lang or mayroon man, pero gusto ko na ang volume ng production will be the same kahit konti yung weavers mo. Ang isa sa paraan ay kung paano maging efficient, paano mas mabilis yung handloom na gagawin mo. So naka-develop ako ng yung flying shuttle, kinonvert ko, imbis na sa kamay, kinonvert ko na sa paa na lang. So parang mas convenient, mas mabilis gawin. So hindi naman ako nag-expand hindi naman ako nagdagdag ng gumawa ng maraming handloom na ganyan kasi experiment pa lang yung isa. So after this pandemic, saka may mga order na yun, develop ko ng mas gagawa ko ng handloom na ganyan para makakope up sa market. Meron na akong financial assistance na na-avail sa DOST, yung second setup na in-applyan ko. And then binigyan ako ng 5 months na deferment. And then humingi pa rin ako ng restructuring ng payment kasi talagang wala talagang income. At ako'y pinagbigyan naman nila. Siguro ang pinaka-lesson is yung magiging huwag gasto ng gastos. Yung mga gastusin ay talagang dapat sa sakto lang. And then meron ka talagang kung anong kita mo, may certain amount ka lang na ilalaan para doon. And then meron ka ring certain amount na ilaan para sa mga calamities like this pandemic, para kung ano. As I have told na yung ginawa namin, nag-reduce kami ng mga production para makatipid naman. At saka siguro mag-isip kung ano pang mga product na pwede natin ma-produce para maging yung mga product na sellable. Nag-produce kami ng mask at saka okay naman, nabibenta naman. Sa ngayon, regarding sa mga future plan ng La Herminia, for us, ang iniisip namin is how to survive this pandemic, na kahit papaano ay mag-exist pa rin kami. Pero sa mga future plan, siguro after na lang ng pandemic kasi parang ang daming mong iniisip ngayon kung paano lang makasurvive. Yes, we can survive this pandemic.
Okay, so maraming salamat po, Sir Alan. So indeed, when we are faced with problems, lumalabas talaga ang creativity and innovativeness in us. So again, thank you very much to all our speakers for this afternoon. Thank you for sharing and letting us hear your wonderful stories. So if I will summarize siguro my learnings from your presentations, I would say the key things for our MSMEs to survive and bounce back from this pandemic are prayers, using our learnings to prepare us for something similar that could happen again, see the problem in different perspective, grab opportunities and do something about it to help our community and be creative, innovative, and resourceful. And of course, on top of all those things said, let us not forget the help that science, technology, and innovation can do through DOST. Okay, so remind ko lang po lahat ng participants natin. Again, if you have questions po for our presenters this afternoon, please do type them in the chat box po so that we could answer them during the open forum. Okay, so moving on, dramatic changes in today's business landscape are happening. So such as the emergence of Industry 4.0, climate change, global migration, and the changing financial, social, and political environment. So to address these challenges, DOST launched Setup 2.0 in order to provide a wider range of S&T solution to empower our MSMEs. So with the advent of pandemic in 2020, DOST will further upgrade the assistance from Setup 2.0 to Setup 4.0 to provide the needs of DOST priority industries. So to tell us further about this program, let us all welcome again our Regional Director of DOST 6, Engineer Rowan R. Helonga.
The Honorable DOST Secretary Fortunato de la Peña, our undersecretaries, and all the officials and personnel of the Department of Science and Technology, honored guests and partners, and of course, to our micro, small, and medium enterprises who are with us today. Good afternoon to all of you. I'll be presenting to you the Small Enterprise Technology Upgrading Program 4.0 as one of DOST's major initiatives intended to ensure a viable economy and society as we progress into the future. Setup is our banner program for assisting our MSMEs. We started this way back in 2002, and we focus our attention towards providing firm-level assistance in order to upgrade the product and process technologies of our micro, small, and medium enterprises. Realizing, however, the need to address constraints that affect the entire industry, we shifted to Setup 2.0. This provided a more focused industry approach and initiated the development of industry S&T roadmaps. In the past 2 years, however, the emergence of Industry 4.0 have considerably accelerated. New and disruptive technologies, such as the Internet of Things or IoT, big data analytics, augmented reality, artificial intelligence, robotics, new materials, additive manufacturing, cloud computing, and a lot more have become mainstream technologies, not only in the manufacturing and industry sectors, but as well as in the service sector. Furthermore, the COVID-19 pandemic changed business and industry through shifts in consumer preferences, a decrease in people's mobility, changes in production operations, and very significant disruptions in the supply chains. Of course, climate change, globalization, migration, and urbanization remain to become challenges still being faced by our MSMEs. In response to these developments, DOST saw fit to immediately level up the implementation of Setup. Thus, in a few moments, we will be implementing Setup 4.0. Amidst the challenges, the program supports the vision of an innovative, resilient, sustainable, and globally competitive MSME sector. Setup 4.0 aims to transform our MSMEs into smarter MSMEs through the strategic themes that is being shown. Smarter, of course, is an acronym. S stands for Sustainable Economy, M for Market Competence, A for Able Human Capital, Responsive S&T Support Infrastructure, Technology and Innovation, Enterprise Support, and R for Resiliency and Continuity. The first four are actually industry-level strategies, while the remaining three are enterprise-level strategic areas. Our industry-level strategies are really the building blocks of a strong innovation ecosystem. Sustainable economy reflects our development aspirations. Set up is really a program that intends to generate decent work, alleviate poverty, foster economic growth, develop our industries, and foster a very good innovation climate. But in order to come up with a sustainable economy, there should be market viability for our MSMEs. And so, among others, we intend to aggressively assist our MSMEs in the area of e-commerce. Before COVID-19, DOST had already established the DOST One Store, which has really assisted a lot of our micro and small enterprises. Under Setup 4.0, we will do much more so that our MSMEs can already become mainstream users of electronic or digital platforms, particularly in terms of marketing their products and services. Another critical building block is our human capital. Some studies show that millions of jobs can be displaced by advances in artificial intelligence, in automation, as well as robotics. But this can be offset if we are able to upskill our workforce and move them up to higher competencies. Finally, we also need to provide our MSMEs with the various needed support, such as appropriate policies and development plans, S&T facilities, such as specialized research centers, innovation and knowledge hubs, technology business incubators, among many others. We also need to develop and deploy innovative service delivery platforms that will allow us to provide our technical assistance efficiently and effectively. Even before we have COVID-19, DOST has already transitioned into digital platforms for its various services. Among these is OneLab, which is a virtual network of DOST and other partner laboratories that function as just one service provider. One Expert, on the other hand, is a virtual hub for accessing consultancy and training services of technical experts, accredited private sector consultants and academic consultants, as well as technical personnel of DOST. The enterprise level strategies are intended to prepare our MSMEs to higher level technological developments, and the more advanced ones will be prepared for Industry 4.0. New technologies and innovations will be provided to our enterprises. Technological, digital, and other critical support will be provided through technical and consultancy services. This will ensure the continuous improvement of products and processes of our enterprises. Furthermore, the program will provide access to and assistance on digital infrastructure to help our enterprises improve their operations as we transition towards Industry 4.0. The program will likewise give support on disaster preparedness and business continuity planning to ensure their business resiliency. We intend to categorize our MSMEs in terms of the level of their development. This is a core strategy for Setup 4.0. Although Industry 4.0 is our main motivating factor, we do recognize that majority of our businesses are still in the early stages of development. A lot of them are just starting to transition from manual operations to semi-mechanization, and we cannot leave them behind. As such, there will be 4 categories. The first one is what we refer to as a startup enterprise, a newly created enterprise aiming to commercialize an innovative product or service. Next will be the developing enterprise, which is characterized as having basic operations and facilities. Then we have the growing enterprise, an enterprise with a stable or growing market but there is a need to further improve productivity as well as product quality. And finally, we have the expanding and innovating enterprise, which has already a viable and expanding market. It has well-developed operations and facilities. There is emerging use of digital mechanical systems. And most importantly, there are opportunities for higher level technological operations, particularly the adoption and commercialization of Industry 4.0 technologies. The assistance provided for this category is based on the level of development of the MSMEs. For the startup enterprise, a startup assistance will be provided. Meanwhile, for a developing enterprise, we have the step-up assistance. For a much established company, higher level assistance will be given. Growing enterprise can avail of the scale-up assistance, while an expanding and innovating enterprise can avail of the surge-up assistance. As you can already notice, the higher the development level of the company, the higher will be the technological support that will be given by the program. Let me emphasize that Setup 4.0 aims to continuously nurture the growth of our MSMEs in order to lift them up from their current status. The program will support and assist MSMEs in upgrading their technologies in order to survive disruptive forces. This will help our enterprises to become more resilient and adaptable to myriad changes happening around them and in society as a whole. Let me end my presentation by showing to you a short video of how Setup 4.0 intends to transform our MSMEs into smarter SMEs, ready for Industry 4.0, ready for the world. Thank you very much.
This is Anna, this is Dave, this is Philip, and this is Grace. Anna has an innovative idea with market potential, but she needs help to take this idea off the ground. Dave, on the other hand, has a developing enterprise with basic facilities and operations. His market is growing, and he needs help in meeting the needs of his clients. Philip has a growing enterprise with established processes and standards. Philip wants to further improve their product quality and productivity. Grace has an expanding and innovating enterprise. Grace needs help in setting up digital mechanical systems and higher level technologies. 4 enterprises with 4 different development needs. Are they ready for Industry 4.0? Can we help them survive the challenges posed by globalization, climate change, and the pandemics? Yes, we can! Introducing Setup 4.0. With Setup 4.0, SMEs will be transformed through smarter. S is for sustainable economy. M, market confidence. A, able human capital. R, responsive S&T, support infrastructure. T, technology and innovation. E, enterprise support. R, resiliency and continuity. These 7 strategic themes encompass both industry and enterprise level implementation based on their needs. Anna will be provided with startup assistance. Dave, a developing enterprise, will be assisted under Step Up. Philip, with his growing enterprise, will be assisted under Scale Up, while Grace, whose enterprise is ready for Industry 3.0 and Industry 4.0 technologies, will be assisted under Surge Up. 4 development needs, 4 assistance packages, 4 future global leaders. This is Setup 4.0 with its vision of an innovative, resilient, sustainable, and globally competitive SME sector. Call or visit your nearest DOST office now.
Okay, so thank you very much, Sir Rowan, for that comprehensive presentation. So indeed, there is something better that our MSMEs can look forward to. So at this point, we will use the remaining time for the open forum session. So for our participants, again, if you have any questions, please do type them in the chat box so that we can answer them. So at this point, may I invite our three speakers. So again, our three speakers are Mr. Ramon Uy Sr. of RU Foundry, Mr. John Dave Dueñas of High Brain, and Mr. Alan Tumbocon of La Herminia. So to all our participants, so this is our chance to learn from the better practices of our presenters. So don't be shy in typing your questions in the chat box. So can we have our presenters? Okay, so good afternoon, sirs.
Good
Okay,
afternoon.
so
Good afternoon, Alan.
yes, sir. So thank you so much for being here with us this afternoon. So let me raise the first question coming from one of our participants. So anybody sa inyo pong tatlo can answer the question po. Okay? Sige po. So our first question. So knowing about the pandemic, if you are given a chance to go back a year ago, what would you have done differently? So nakuha po ba yung question? So again po, knowing about the pandemic, if you are given a chance to go back a year ago, what would you have done differently? Sige po. Siguro may I ask Sir Ramon Oy first, sir? Okay, so can we request our host to unmute Sir Ramon?
Yeah.
Okay, sige, sir.
There's a saying that if you want to predict the future, you have to invent it. In a way, if I have to, last year, for example, I anticipated that there's going to be a pandemic. I think I'll just be doing the same thing because, as I mentioned in my talk, we are quite prepared because of the lesson that we learn. As the saying goes, they say that if you cannot remember history, it will repeat itself. No? So lessons learned would be a very important aspect in terms of resiliency. And of course, as soon as we were able to recover, we also created a foundation wherein we assist farmers. So that also creates another market, and indirectly. So as you have people, there are a lot of opportunities coming in. As the saying, there's also is a saying that what goes around comes around. No? So you have one guy here, it will just go around. Somebody will help you on the other side. That's kind of our one of our mission vision. Still the same for myself. No? There will be no changes. As a matter of fact, during the pandemic, so I have to secure my people. You have to stay in here. We provide them board and lodging. We used to give them lunch, free lunch before. When the pandemic came, we provided with breakfast and dinner. It's an additional cost on our part, but we're still doing. As a matter of fact, we did not fire anybody, or we did not. Now at the present time, we are 168 people are working with us. We even hire some people.
Okay, so thank you very much, Sir Ramon. So how about Sir JD?
Well, he could never look back and then change things of how it was done. To be honest, I think one thing that I really appreciated is that prior to the pandemic, we were establishing our business continuity plan or our business continuity policy. And I just have to share this that on the last days of February, I had to fly to Manila to attend the meeting for the National Kidney and Transplant Institute. When I went back home, February 29, I was experiencing fever and sore throat. And then March 1, the following day, I was having shortness of breath. And then I was just thinking, like, yeah, it might have just been like a typical flu. I went to the beach and then went back home. And then I said, yeah, I think I have to rush to the hospital. So I rushed myself to Adventist Medical Center, Bacolod. I was there for 2 hours in my room na. And then after 2 hours of napping, the nurses woke me up and told me that I have to be transferred to an isolation room. And trust me, when you sleep and then when you wake up to a nurse who's actually wearing a PPE, it is not a very good scenario to wake up to. So I was actually tagged as the seventh person under investigation in Bacolod. During that time, I had to call the office and I had to inform our talent management head that we have to roll out our business continuity plan. And I was telling her that this is like the hardest call that I have to make because that means we have to look at who's my second in line in terms of signatory, who's my second in line in terms of decision making. If something really happened and if my swab result would come out as positive of COVID, because during that time, we really don't know what the behavior of the virus would be. And I would agree with Sir Ramon that it was really more of when you're running an organization, you have to now step back and pull yourself out of the equation and make sure that things will have to run smoothly, even if you're not there. And I think I would have to instigate and re-emphasize that establishment of a business continuity plan made us survive and make us keep afloat. And I don't want to change anything about that. On a personal note, I guess it's just really more of I was forced to spend more time with my family, and that I think is more than enough. So I answered the question, Adam.
Okay, yes, sir, you did. Thank you, sir, so much for that answer, sir. So how about Sir Alan, sir?
Uh, as I mentioned, sir, weaving industry is declining, so it is very difficult for us to expand. So because I myself also is involved in construction business, so hindi talaga ako wala akong tao na designate na to handle this pinya weaving. So siguro kung babalikan ko, I think I have to train someone to handle or to make this pinya weaving in continuity, because half kasi sir, I have my construction business and then I have my weaving business. So siguro ganun siguro ang nangyari, hindi talaga walang taong umawak. Siguro yun siguro kung babalikan ko na I think it is better that I have other person that will handle this pinya weaving even though I am here. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. So I think we can now proceed to our second question. So this question po is addressed to Sir Ramon Uy. So sir, good afternoon. What were the critical steps you did to turn your situation around?
Maybe the one word would be character, no? Character. Remember I mentioned that I was requested by my friend to repair his equipment. No? Despite my situation then, I go there to his farm. And I've seen the technology that is being, he's trying to develop some technology. So that opened my eyes. So with that equipment that I developed, I think I could relate that to the basic character that you have. No, anybody who needs help, you just help them, and that's what I'm saying. That what goes around comes around. You do things without any intention making gaining from it. That opens your eyes for opportunity. That gives me an opportunity to see the equipment, then be able to develop that equipment. It so happened also that during that time, there was an incident in Manila that created my market. So actually, if you go back to one word only, character. Maybe good character. I should emphasize
Thank
that.
you very much, Sir Ramon. So we are learning a lot from from our speakers, no? So before we proceed to our next question, please don't forget to fill out the feedback form. So the link is posted in the chat box. So our
Maybe,
third question.
excuse me,
Yes, sige, sir.
maybe may I just add, no? The one that I'm talking about that goes around comes around, no? During when Typhoon Pablo hit Davao del Norte, we're invited to assist them. Initially, they want all the debris to be relocated. So I told them, we will process the debris into organic fertilizer. So I sent my guy there, we brought equipment. Then my guys stayed there for 8 months. And we worked there without any compensation whatsoever. No, we just want to help the community. So after 8 months, they produced some around 40,000 worth of vermicompost. We bought it from them. Then we we return the vermi to them. And one day, the Secretary of Department of Agrarian Reform was there. And one farmer mentioned to him about this technology that we're doing in that area. So when Yolanda hit Leyte, and they want to do the same thing, our technology was used by Yolanda. They ordered more than 50 units of shredder. You see the point? No? You do things in Davao del Norte without expecting any return. It just, the Leyte, the Yolanda, the Typhoon Yolanda that hit Leyte, we were part of the rehabilitation of Yolanda. We delivered around more than 50 units of shredder. So that will be answer to that question, what critical move. I think it should be not only one move, but it should be a long process of building up your own character.
Okay, so thank you very much, Sir Ramon. Okay, so for our next question, I think this is addressed to all our speakers. So what do you think is relatively a profitable business venture in the coming days and in the future? So, nakuha yung question, sir. Maybe we can start po with Sir Alan. Kaya naman po, sir. What do you think po, sir?
Opinion weaving is profitable. The problem is how we can promote. We have a limited resources that we can promote our business. Also, construction business is also a good business. That's all, sir.
Okay, sige, sir. How about po, Sir JD?
To be honest, I think any business would still be profitable. It's not about what kind of service or what kind of product are you bringing in the market, but how you do the business would automatically become your barometer of success. If you would have to adopt to how things are running now, that basically would automatically tell you on your adaptability and your flexibility of the new norm. Whether we like it or not, since 2016, we've been harping on digital transformation, the Industrial Revolution 4.0, but not all of our conventional businesses would automatically believe on digital transformation because everybody would think that digital transformation is only an investment that, trying to shake them up on how they were doing business for the longest time. But because of the pandemic, we are all stepping on our accelerator pedal when we're talking about transforming the way we do things on a digital manner. Like you don't have to be outside of your house to buy your grocery. You don't have to go out of your house to buy your medicine, to go to a hospital, to even talk to your friends. Basically, it becomes now, there is now a delimitation between a physical store and a virtual store. So the gray line between differentiating both is actually becoming very, very thin. So I think going back to the question, again, it's not about the service, it's not about the product, but it is always about how do you perceive your operations to be. And you have to adopt and you have to be flexible in order to become abreast with the new normal. Because I think whether we like it or not, we are actually in the new normal, right?
Thank you for that, Sir JD. It's all about adapting, sir, no? Sige po. How about Sir Ramon?
Yeah, I think food. food is it's a good business to go into. When you see food, of course, your agriculture will not far behind. No? Our agricultural industry is quite behind in terms of the international level. So there is still a lot of opportunities for us. Can you imagine how many tractors we're importing from other countries? No? It's worth billions, no, of equipment being imported from other countries. If we develop that, those money, instead of being bought abroad, will be used in the rural. That's what I'm trying to say when I mentioned about the setup program of the UST. I am a beneficiary of setup. So I was requesting in the UST if we could create another setup for small farmers, because the farmers in the rural areas, if their equipment breaks down, they have nowhere to go. So the equipment will not be used fully. So if we put up small welding and fabrication shop in the rural areas, let's say a thousand of that, so we'll be creating a small industry, but it will develop the rural areas into there will be a lot of economic activity in the rural areas. At present time, the Department of Agriculture is spending more than 5 billion a year for equipment. Most of it is tractors, and some of the equipment are being done outside the area. So if we let the farmers produce their own equipment through the assistance of the OST, there will be a lot of economic activity in the rural areas. So people in the rural areas doesn't have to go to the urban areas anymore. They will stay in the area. And initially, they will be repairing only and maintaining the equipment. Of course, if we train them further, they will make their own equipment in the area. Then even further, we could develop, like for example, the harvester. Would you believe that our equipment, the thresher, is more than 70 years old? And we have not gone out of it? Can you imagine that? Is it not a kind of a slap on the face? That we are not able to make this harvester. We are a rice growing country. We should develop all this equipment. And the only way to develop that, there are a lot of farmers who have a lot of talent. All we have to do is to tap those talent, give them an opportunity to make their own equipment. So if we do that, I believe a good economic activity in the Philippines will prosper. Of course, food. Everybody has to eat, and we're growing very fast. So we still need a lot of people to feed. So agriculture and food, I think, is the in thing that we should go into.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Sir Ramon. So I guess we can now proceed to our next question. So this one is specifically addressed po kay Mr. or kay Sir Alan po of La Herminia. So the question po, since there is a decline in the demand of your products, especially barongs and gowns, so what other possible products can you offer, and how would you promote these products?
Yes, because it is locally, the barong and gowns are for local only. Um, there is a market for other fabric, like we have before. We have a market in Europe. The only thing is maybe the promotion for this fabric. Also, um, we have also a market in Japan. We are doing the obisas. It is only once a year because we are doing the summer obi. I think if we can develop the other season like summer, winter, and fall, the problem is we do not know the materials which is suited for it. So it is not only the barong and gowns. There's a lot of weaving product in which there is a market on it. Thank you.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Sige po. Next question po. Anyone po from the presenters can answer po. You have shared a while ago your stories with regards to bouncing back and surviving this pandemic. So in your current situation po, for your business, what do you think are the additional assistance for that you need for your company? So maybe we can start with Sir Ramon.
I already exhausted the the privilege that was given to me by the OST. I already borrowed money twice, so that's why I'm trying to bring down the setup to the lower level. No? So it's possible that we could do that. I think that will create also a lot of market in that area. If there is still some assistance, why not? But I want to share it to other people if they are.
Noted on that, Sir Ramon. Yes, Sir JD. You want to answer, sir?
My team revolves in healthcare IT. We're into healthcare information technology. It is a realm that actually is not just an uncharted for the Philippines, but it's actually more of uncharted for the entire world when it comes to addressing COVID-19 pandemic. What I admired actually was prior to the COVID pandemic hitting us, not only the country but the global perspective, if I may say, is that we were able to get the setup assistance from the OST, that we were able to alleviate. I mean, we were able to upgrade all of our equipments in the office and get to see where we would be able to assist the healthcare professionals. As I've mentioned nga kanina while I was sharing, by 2035, we're going to be experiencing a deficit of 1.1 million hospital beds in the Philippines and a 1.2 million deficit of medical care professionals. And this study was actually presented by PricewaterhouseCoopers in 2017, that is pre-COVID pandemic. Now that the pandemic happened, everything will actually be accelerated not only with the requirement, but the gap has also been increased in terms of how is our healthcare industry are adapting. I was having a discussion yesterday with one of the medical directors of one of a DOH run hospital here in Bacolod, and he was telling me that in the entire ASEAN community, the Philippines is actually the lowest in terms of allotting a per capita investment for the healthcare. We were actually called out by the Asian Development Bank about it because we never took healthcare as one of our priority. Even our constitution would always prioritize education. We never thought about healthcare as how it would be in the next 15 or 20 years. What I think I would not say that there would be any assistance that we still need with the OST. But what I admired right now is more of how the OST is working closely with the Department of Information and Communications Technology and the Department of Health, establishing the Knowledge Management Information Technology Department that encapsulates all of the programs in terms of using information and communications technology in the healthcare industry. What I would personally be asking, I think, in DOST is to lead, not just to be a member of that committee, but actually to take a lead in terms of leading where we are at in handling electronic health record, in handling our medical care professionals, in handling patient care management in the entire country. Because honestly, no other agency focuses on science and technology or deepen in research and technology aside from the US, which I think we're getting there. But when we get to appreciate the kind of role and the kind of collaboration between agencies, I think that is not just going to alleviate my business, but it is going to alleviate the kind of life that we are experiencing in the Philippines at this time. That if another COVID-19, maybe COVID-21 or COVID-22 will hit us, we basically know how to do and how to respond to it. Because whether we like it or not, that is the main thing that had caught us off guard. We kind of didn't know how to respond to the pandemic. So I hope I did not blow it out of proportion.
So thank you, sir. Thank you, Sir JD, for that response, sir. I guess we are down to our last question. So the last question is, if you may categorize your answer based on the size of the firm, so what is your most important advice to our micro, small, and medium enterprises? Again, sir, if you may categorize your answer based on the size of the firm, what is your most important advice to our micro, small, and medium enterprises? So maybe we can start with Sir Alan.
Um, I think when we are doing business, we have to have a focus on the business we're going to deal with. Um, and then we must be in our part, like the weaving. Product development is very important, and then innovation on materials, on technology is needed. Thank you, sir.
Okay, sir, how about Sir JD, sir? Your most important advice.
I think it would be more of a takeaway, like what happened with the entire pandemic. No matter how small, I mean, the difference of an MSME to a very established enterprise is that big enterprise organizations or big corporations will have a hard time moving around because they have lots of manpower already, they have lots of investments done. So pivoting or changing the way they do the business, it's going to entail them a lot of effort. I think the best part with MSME is that whenever a certain stressor would come in, it would be too easy for us to change and adapt. So I think the main takeaway that we have to really hold on into is that whenever the landscape of economy changes, that doesn't mean that we have to stop or put things, at a halt. What we have to actually think of as entrepreneur is that if things are changing outside, we should be very willing to adopt and also change the way we do things. And I think in general, we should not be scared to pivot the way we do business. Because the only way to survive is to accept the fact that everything is changing. We could not hold on to something and all throughout our lives we're going to say that, yeah, I'm good at this and I'm not just going to change because I'm already good at this. And I think that's one thing that I have to tell everybody. Never stop changing and never shy away from learning new stuff.
Thank you, sir. Continue learning. How about Sir Ramon? Sir.
Thank you. No. Anyway, crisis always create opportunity. So you have to be, number one is you have to be perceptive. One is perceptive. But of course, when you develop a product, see to it that it is of really good quality and durability. That's what happened to me. When I started manufacturing equipment, shredder, and I sold it in Manila, my price is high. My competitor was selling only around, I think, 180,000. I'm selling it at 350,000. And there was a bidding in Forbes Park, no? Forbes Park, because they have a waste management program. There's a bidding. Of course, I lost the bidding. No? For a bigger unit, it's around 650,000. My offers was 650,000. My competitor is only 350,000. Of course, they awarded to the lowest bidder. But after 3 months, they called me up. They bought my shredder at my price. So don't worry about the price. The farmers are always asking me, sir, if we produce this thing, where's the market? There is always a market, what we call the niche market. That's why we're trying to promote organic farming, organic produce. Organic, you have a niche market. You don't have to worry about selling it because people will buy at the price. I'll give you an example. Why are women buying 100,000 worth of bag? The bag, LB, what's the other one? Prada and so on. Why? Because there are people who could afford to buy this product. So if you create things, see to it that you don't, I'm not trying to say that you want to sell to the lower strata over people, but you target first, then you generate a lot of money, then you could lower later on your cost, wherein everybody could enjoy. Organic is one. We've been trying to promote organic since 2000. And I hope all our farmers will go into this market. Because if we compete with Vietnam, with the other countries in the Southeast Asia, Vietnam has a natural irrigation system. We cannot really compete with them in terms of production costs. Never. No? And of course, the character is different. No? Can you allow the Filipino farmer to use his hat? Do it if they don't have any water in their farm. So it boils down that in order to be competitive internationally, we create a high quality product. I think the product of my good friend from Aklan is really a good example. You could sell it internationally, no? Provided
Okay, so I guess Sir Ramon was disconnected.
wala.
But anyway, Sir Ramon, can you still connect with us?
Yeah,
Would you like to continue, sir? Okay.
So those are the things that in my I gave. Would you believe? Some people will tell me that I'm crazy because in my equipment I gave lifetime service warranty. No crazy guy would give that, but it's only service. For example, after 5 years, you bought the product, after 5 years, it breaks down. You call me, I'll go there. I'll repair your equipment. But you will buy the spare parts. But the labor is free. So there's that kind of strategy that you could use in marketing. No? But marketing all boils down to the quality of the product. It's always quality. You see people are buying 1 million worth of handbag. Imagine that 1 million. We have people buying Rolex. The time of Chico and Rolex are the same. What is that? Who there is always a niche market. So you have to look at for that niche market. In a society, there are people who could afford to buy those things. So all we have to do is create a good, high quality, good market. Then everybody product, then everybody will buy that. You have no problem selling it.
Okay, so thank you very much, Sir Ramon. So I guess that was the last question for our MSME forum. So again, I would like to thank you to all our three speakers. Thank you so much for being so open and sharing your inspiring stories and being so accommodating in answering the questions of our participants. So again, thank you for inspiring us, for inspiring our MSMEs. So pleasant afternoon to all our speakers. So let's move on. This time, let us now hear the closing remarks from our DOST6 Assistant Regional Director for Technical Operations, Dr. Emeline P. Flores.
Ngayong hapon sa liwat, we have just heard very inspiring stories of our three setup beneficiaries through the years from the provinces of Aklan and Negros Occidental. These three beneficiaries are the chosen few from the 472 firms that the OST6 assisted since we started our setup program in 2003 until this year. And of course, the youngest of them is the Chief Executive Officer of Highway Development Corporation, Mr. John Dave P. Dueñas from Bacolod City. His company survived this pandemic because of the automated laboratory system that they developed. It turned out to be an opportunity for the company because Highway Development Corporation was commissioned by San Miguel Foundation to automate their laboratory information system. So they were able to establish the first automated COVID-19 testing laboratory center of the San Miguel Molecular Laboratory in Ortigas. Getting of samples reduced from 45 minutes to 6 minutes, thus reducing the contact of the patient and the medtech who performs the swab test. This is because of the online system that they developed that when you come to the clinic or laboratory, forms were already filled out and processed. So when you came there, when you arrived there, the medtech will just perform the swab test. This is a startup company that availed the Setup Innovation Fund in 2019 through the acquisition of appropriate facilities. So without upgraded facilities, High Brain Development Corporation was not able to serve the needs of San Miguel Foundation. High Brain Development Corporation is the second tenant of the Technology Business Incubator Center that the UST established in Negros Occidental through the collaboration of local government unit of Negros Occidental and benefit of Attorney Josel Batapa. The first tenant was that availed our setup program was Audacity of Haji Bert Aquino and John Dave of Highway Development Corporation was the second one. And our next beneficiary is Mr. Alan Tombocon, the production manager of La Herminia Pinya Weaving Company based in Aklan. The company was established in 1996 with only one weaver, but the business grows bigger. It was able to employ 150 to 180 weavers. This pandemic has affected the sales of the company and prompted Mr. Tumbukon to innovate the Lion Shuttle hand loom that uses the feet instead of hands. So he said this would enable his company to survive even if the hand loom weavers are decreasing. He also repurposed in the production of face masks in response to COVID-19 because, of course, who will buy barong? Who will buy the gowns with this pandemic, right? So La Herminia has availed the setup IFAD twice in 2016 and 2019 as dictated by the demand of his export market before the pandemic. And the last but not the least is our good friend, Mr. Ramon Oy Sr., the director of the Aryo Foundry and Machine Shop Corporation from Bacolod City. The company is the 6th regional best setup adapter, but this was renamed into Regional Praise Award. So the company, Aryo Foundry and Machine Shop Corporation, is our regional praise awardee this year. And this award goes to the MSME that shows productivity, resilience, agility, innovation, sustainability, and excellence. So thank you, Sir Ramon Oy, for being with us today despite your hectic schedule. Aryo Foundry and Machine Shop Corporation is indeed ready for pandemic based on their experiences before when the company almost folded down. With just a mere capitalization of 3,000 from the buy and sell business when they started, it became a multi-million company, and he was able to own a commercial building, a big foundry shop, a big house, and condominium. But all of those were gone due to the ASEAN crisis in 2007. I remember the story before that due to the expansion in the ASEAN crisis, that's the reason why all those millions were almost gone. And his last card, of course, was his venture into the fabrication of shredder that luckily was used with the LGU in the Department of Agriculture for the solid waste management and production of organic fertilizer nationwide. This new venture made him a millionaire once again. So I believe Dost was instrumental in the promotion of the company's shredder when he started. We assisted an organic farm that was just starting when the OST6 procured the shredder from Aryo Foundry and Machine Shop Corporation. The purpose was to fast-track the transfer of technology on vermicomposting developed by Dr. Rafael Guerrero, the former director of Dost PKR. And I believe that through word of mouth, in a way, helped in the marketing of RU Shredder, and the rest is history. Mr. Roy believes that through R&D, his products will be improved and productivity and sales will likewise be increased. So thank you, gentlemen, Sir Ramon Oy, John Dave, and Mr. Anton Bocon for sharing with us your journey on how you cope with the pandemic. We are so blessed and learned a lot from you with our session this afternoon. And lastly, DOST is introducing Setup 4.0 as presented by our Regional Director, Engineer Rowan R. Helonga. The level of assistance will be provided both for the firm level and industry level. In the assistance will depend upon the category of the enterprise. Startup assistance for startup enterprises, step-up assistance for developing enterprise, scale-up assistance for growing enterprise, and surge-up assistance for expanding and innovating enterprise. Setup 4.0 will continuously move up our SMEs towards Industry 4.0 readiness. So for our MSMEs who would like to avail our setup program, please do not hesitate to contact the DOS provincial offices nearest you. I believe that through science, technology, and innovation, this will transform your lives. So once again, thank you for sharing your precious time with us this afternoon. Stay safe, everyone.
Thank you very much, Ma'am Ems. But before we end, let me also invite you to take part in the rest of our activities for this National Science and Technology Week in DOST 6. So for more information, you may visit the DOST Region 6 Facebook page. Okay, so that ends our activity for the MSME Forum. Truly, with science, technology, and innovation, it is not impossible to survive and bounce back from this pandemic. So again, thank you very much to all our speakers, to Mr. Ramon Uy, to Mr. J.D. Dueñas, and to Sir Alan Tumbocon. And a big thank you also to all our participants, to all our MSMEs, to my co-DOST personnel, and to the rest of our stakeholders. Thank you so much. Keep safe at paalam po sa lahat. So let us now sing the DOST hymn.
Dumating na ang bagong pag-asa ng ating bansang sinisinta. Ang DOST ay sumilang na lingkod ang bayan sa tuwina. Pagtuklas ng bagong karunungan sa iba't ibang turing agam. Pagpiti ka sa ganahan at kaunlaran ng ating lipunan. Ibandila ang kanyang sagisang, kay tanda ng pagsisita. Pagmulat nating pangarap ay biyayang mananasang. Magpugay tayo ng sabay-sabay, mabuhay, mabuhay ang DOST. Ang siyensya'y sandigan na maunlad na bayan, layunin nakita at maipagkakapunan.